fun. It's Okay, we are live.
Welcome to our media briefing and public access. Not a lot of things happening, probably. There's a lot of things happening, but mostly committee bills that have had a lot of vetting, so not a lot of debate. There was at least one bill that failed today, Senator Stevenson's bill. I don't know if he's here, if they have any questions about that, but he could address those if he comes in.
I'll step on the wire and get in real trouble.
So we'll go right to media questions, and if those who are viewing us on the internet would like to weigh in on any issue, please do. Questions?
Hand warmer. I don't know if you'll have an opinion on this yet, but coming up in committee this afternoon again is Senator Backus's bill, putting it basically a deadline on the public lands issue, saying that they have to file a lawsuit if they're going to file a lawsuit by, I think, 6 months, but I've heard that there's some movement there. It might be moved. What are kind of the feelings of the majority?
Senator Okerman?
I know that the discussion in the committee last week, or whenever it was heard last, I kind of lose track of time, was that maybe 6 months might be too soon. And so they had talked about having Senator Backus amend it to the following June for the deadline. I'm not aware of the entire committee discussion, so I've been kind of waiting to see what happens in committee, what their discussion is, what their recommendations are. But that makes a little bit more sense to me to have it not quite as rushed, to make sure that we're ready to get into it, rather than set a June deadline and say, okay, Attorney General, here you go, you're going to file. So I thought that made sense for them to say, let's look at moving it back a little bit.
Just maybe to clarify, do you have any thoughts on putting a deadline period? I mean, would you be okay with putting a deadline on them, saying, hey, this is when we'd like to see it happen, or would you like to keep it open-ended?
I personally would like to see a deadline. I would like to see us get this resolved and move forward. I don't have any problem with that.
I do as a lawyer. My problem is this.
You want a deadline?
No, I don't want a deadline, for the simple reason there's so many things beyond your control. You may be waiting for counties to give you documents and stuff that you need to do, and so if you get a deadline, what I suspect you'll do as a lawyer is you'll file the papers, and then you'll ask leave to amend as you get the thing down the process, because deadlines like that, we live with deadlines, of course, but especially one this big and this complicated, I think rushing to file a paper means in all likelihood they'll have to amend, and it won't really solve what you want as an ultimate decision on the issue.
I think everyone would agree it'd be better to have some of the lands back in state control, and so we can use the resources that we have in the state of Utah.
Any other questions from the media today?
We have one.
Okay, we have a question from our viewers.
It was not directed to anyone in particular. They ask, what is your reaction to the comments made yesterday by Representative Green about defining rape and having sex with an unconscious spouse?
Anybody familiar with what happened there yesterday?
It's a House debate.
All I know is what I read in the paper, and I never trust what I read in the paper. Anyway, trust it.
The House has sent out a clarification apparently of his comments too,
Oh, what?
clarifying what he meant when he said yesterday. I wasn't there, so I can't really relate. I just what I read.
Didn't the bill pass out unanimously?
Yeah, his comment was if an individual has sex with their wife while she's unconscious, a prosecutor could then charge that spouse with rape, theoretically. That makes sense in a first date scenario, but to me, not when people have a history of years of sexual activity. And obviously some have expressed concern about that as, and say having sex with somebody who's unconscious is not consensual by definition, which is what the bill seeks.
It's Representative Romero?
Representative
Romero's bill.
And Representative Green's a lawyer. These lawyers, you never can trust them. Looking for every technicality.
Is the attorney.
So you're always looking for, I mean, after the fact, you're always looking for ways to, that's really not quite how I wanted to say it. I may have said that, but I really didn't mean it quite that way.
I think suffice it to say that those are obviously coming our way. We probably wouldn't say anything that way.
We would hope no one would.
It makes sense to me that I thought that was illegal. It makes sense to me. I'm not sure why we need to actually. Well, I thought it was in the law already, so it's surprising that that hasn't been there.
We'll instruct Senator Davis not to make any dumb comments.
It's not News Day. So kind.
So hopefully that answers your question, viewer, and thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions? If nothing else, well, thanks everyone.
You probably should have mentioned the last